Good morning, um, and thank you for inviting me. At the end of uh, July, during our last meeting, we thanked each other for our kindnesses towards each other, and then the meeting finished, and we all disappeared into the summer. And those of you who were here then have reappeared this morning, and others have appeared. And I'm really full of wonder about how we appear and disappear all the time. People who we love, who we know, who are acquaintances, are constantly coming in and out of our lives, apparently. Suzuki Roshi said, "We say, here is my friend, over there is the mountain, and way up there is the moon. To go to San Francisco, we have to cross over the Tassajara Mountains. That is our usual understanding, but that is not the Buddhist way of observing things. We find the mountain or the moon, or our friend, or San Francisco, within ourselves, right here. That is the big mind in which everything exists. We find the moon, or the mountain, or our friend, or San Francisco within ourselves, right here. That is the big mind in which everything exists." So right now, we can see each other on the screen. What about Catherine and other people who can't make it today? Is she within us? Is she here? And in what way is she here for you? In what way is she present? And in what way are people who are apparently absent from your life right now actually within you all the time, right here? There's also a question for me, and I'm often curious, is in what way am I present for myself? There's a koan in the Gateless Gate, case 12. And I like this one because I talk to myself sometimes. It says, every day Master Ziguan used to call out to himself, "Oh, Master," and he would answer himself, "Yes." "Are you awake? Are you there?" he would ask himself. And he would answer, "Yes, I am." And I sometimes recall that when I don't feel present to myself or to other people or to the world in which I'm in. In what way can I be fully present? And what does it mean to be fully present? The Dharma teacher Leslie James said, "The reason why it's so hard to know another's heart is because it's difficult to know our own heart." And I feel that one of the journeys of practice is, what is it to know our own heart first, before we can know another's heart? And what is it to hold ourselves fully before we can actually realize that everything is within us? And that includes the botanical gardens in Sheffield and the cemetery and Shirley House. Everything. In what way does that experience, that possibility exist within your own mind right now? Suzuki Roshi also said, to practice is not to collect things and put them in your basket, but rather to find something in your sleeve. And I wonder, since we last met in July, what have you found up your sleeve? What is it that has been close to your heart rather than something that we look for outside? Sometimes when I'm preparing a talk, I start to look for something that I can collect and put in my basket, and then it apparently creates a talk. And it's a kind of habit that comes from me and also from the society in which we live and the kind of way we think of collecting knowledge, and we think that's experience. But as soon as I find something in my sleeve, there's a freedom, there's a possibility, because there's some energy and it's close to my heart. I was standing in the queue at Sainsbury's the other day. It's quite a long queue, and I was wondering what to say in a Dharma talk. And so my attention wasn't quite fully there in the supermarket experience. And there's a checkout assistant. I like to go down her aisle because there's something about her, something about the way she offers herself to people as they pass by. And it's so simple, it's kind, it's thoughtful, it's efficient. She makes eye contact, but there's nothing extra. It's just clearly performing the role with dignity and integrity. So I like being in her queue, and I like watching her in the way that I might like watching somebody in the Zendo, and they perform something very beautifully and with some freedom, just performing the role with love and care. So I was standing in her queue, and a man asked for a nectar card, and she looked through some leaflets and she couldn't find one. So she got up, but actually beneath the counter she had crutches, and so she took these crutches out and she walked purposefully to another part of the store and got the nectar card application form and brought it back, presented it to the customer, and did it in such a way that was just, this is a service I'm performing. I realise there's a long queue. I'm working efficiently, but without losing a sense of presence. And I realise that it's so easy to miss wonderful things that are happening. I could have told myself the story that I'm in a hurry. This is taking a long time. This is not convenient. But somehow there's a small opening into a world here of appreciating something, of just loving something that is just ordinary. I love seeing the wonder of the ordinary. Trudy and I travelled to the West Country in August, and we were in a really, really crowded train between Birmingham New Street and Taunton. And when we tried to get out of Taunton, there were so many people in the corridor and so much luggage that we couldn't get to the door in time to get out of the train, and the train went off. And we had ideas about how we were letting the train take the strain, and it wasn't. Um, so there was some frustration there. And then the woman who was the ticket collector came along, and we explained to her. And she was really kind, actually. And she said, "I'm so sorry." She got it. She understood it. And she tried to phone the next station so that we could get off and go back up on the train without paying. And of course, under the current system, it's very hard. And the next station wouldn't reply to her, wouldn't pick up. And so she was, in a way, as stuck as we were in this situation, just doing her best. It was hard. It's like, here I am with all the causes and conditions that have created this crowded train with frustrated people, and I'm doing my best. And it was beautiful to see. And again, like the queue at Sainsbury's, I could have been more agitated about what was going on, but there was something just opening up between my needs and what was happening for me to see something beautiful. Just actually see something that was in front of me. And I wonder if that's something about the bigger container of practice. Small mind wants to complain about the train and how difficult it's been, and we paid all this money and we want the train to take the strain. And then we see somebody actually just doing their best. I'm curious how in Zazen, one way of thinking about it for me, or experiencing it, is this practice when we're sitting, when we have a role, is a real opportunity to see where we're caught. So if you have the role of timekeeper, for example, it's a real opportunity in the smallest detail of what you do to notice where you're caught, and at the same time where you can be free. And I'm really curious about this play between caught and free. Perhaps we need to be caught, or know we're caught, to know where we can be free. And I know this is particularly true for me over a number of years when I prepare talks and when I think about talks, and I notice where I get caught now, and I notice where there's some freedom as a possibility. And so the lovely woman at the checkout at Sainsbury's has to be there. She is sitting during the ceremony of checking out the food, and yet there's some freedom in what she's doing. The lovely woman on the train, she's caught in a train with people. This is where she is right now in her life, and she's just doing her best, and there's just this little opportunity for some freedom and for some connection with people around her. And I wonder today, as you think about your day, where you might have opportunities to be caught, and opportunities to be free within it, because they come up all the time. One of my favourite books is a book called A Member of the Wedding by Carson, McCullers. And I like it, I love it, because it's about wonder and tenderness and connection. And it touches my heart. And it's about a 12-year-old girl who has lost her mother, and she spends a lot of time with her maid, her lovely maid, Berenice. And she has a great capacity for wonder. So I'm just going to read a couple of passages from A Member of the Wedding. So this is her wondering about things in the way that I've been wondering about connection and appearing and disappearing. She says, this is what I mean. You're walking down a street and you meet somebody, anybody, and you look at each other. And you are you, and he is him. Yet when you look at each other, the eyes make a connection. Then you go off one way, and he goes off another way. You go off into different parts of town, and maybe you never see each other again, not in your whole life. Do you see what I mean? And her maid, Berenice, says, not exactly. And then further on, a couple of pages later, there's a piece about being caught. And this is Berenice talking, and I don't want to attempt the accent, but this is what she says. We all of us somehow caught. We born this way or that way, and we don't know why. But we caught anyhow. I born Berenice, you born Frankie, John Henry born John Henry. And maybe we wants to widen and bust free. But no matter what we do, we still caught. Me is me, and you is you, and he is he. We each of us somehow caught all by ourselves. Is that what you was trying to say? And then she goes on to say, because I am black, because I am coloured, everybody is caught one way or another, but they done drawn completely extra bounds around all coloured people. They done squeezed us off in one corner by ourselves. So we caught that first way I was telling you, as all human beings is caught. And we caught as coloured people also. Sometimes a boy like Henry feel like he just can't breathe no more. He feel like he got to break something to break himself. Sometimes it's just about more than we can stand. And maybe for all of us somehow, our caughtness is just about more than we can stand. And so we come together to sit with all of our caughtness, with the possibility to be free together. That's where I'm thinking about practice at the moment. Where am I caught? And where am I free? Katagiri Roshi said, just take care of the here and now with a true heart. And for me, in my practice right now, in a supermarket queue, in a train, with whatever I'm doing, I hold that. Just take care of the here and now with a true heart and see what unfolds. Thank you very much.